Hello and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. Let's get started.
Can we talk about Facebook for a second? I am back on the book, sort of. I left about 8 years, maybe 10 years ago, just deleted my account. And the reasons that I left had a lot to do with my mental health. But now I'm back because I want to be able to spread the word about Podfulness. And the only way that you can do that now is through social media. And I am not good at social media. Related, if you are a college student or maybe you're studying marketing and you want to get some real world interaction and something that looks amazing on a resume, maybe you'd like to be the social media manager for Podfulness. Please reach out to me. I can pay you nothing, but you'd be getting great experience. So I'll just let that float out there. Anyway, I'm back on Facebook. So now people are sending me friend requests. And these are people oftentimes I don't know. Some people I do know, but more often than not, people I don't know and we have no friends in common. And even though they're probably nice people, do I accept their friendship? Are there bad actors out there who could use my information for nefarious means? Probably. I don't know. I'm not really posting that much stuff out there to get me in trouble. So the question I ask for you, listener or viewer, is if you are getting requests from people you don't know, do you accept them? Do you try to friend people that you don't know? And has the word friend been devalued now that Facebook has usurped it? Do you think about this stuff as much as I do? Didn't think so. Are you ready for Podfulness? Let's get to it. Well, hey, it's me, Mark, the host of Podfulness. And if you are watching this or listening to this show for the first time, I don't know why you would randomly pick this episode 16 of season 2. But in case you are, this season is dedicated to teenagers, where I bring teenagers on the show and we talk about some of the things that they're streaming and how they spend their digital life and get to know them a little bit. And most of my guests have been under the age of 18, actually, all of them up to this point. So in this show, we have an 18-year-old, Jenna, who's a college student, goes to school out east. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. We also talk about what it was like for her growing up queer. And by the way, still queer. Nothing has changed. Living there in New York, but she grew up in the Midwest, and that was a challenge for her. And then at the end of the show, she has the opportunity to ask me anything after a fun game that we played together, and she stumped me. I finally came up with an answer, but it took me a while, which made me realize that when you're a host of a show, asking questions is the easy part. Answering can be hard. So I have to give credit to Jenna and all of my guests for being able to answer questions in an efficient manner, because it took me a long time to come up with an answer. So let's get the show going. Here's Jenna. You're going to love her, and enjoy this episode of Podfulness. Jenna, you are my first guest who is either 18 or over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what that means is that for all of my other guests this season, I've had to have their parents sign a consent form because they're minors. But you, I didn't reach out to anybody in your family.
Nope.
No way. So Jenna, where are you coming to us from?
I am at Purchase College in New York. It's a little bit upstate. It's near the Connecticut border, kind of close to Stamford.
Okay.
Small town. It's nice. I like it here, but it's also close enough to the city that I can go in for a day if I want to.
So how long's the train? How long of a ride is it to get to Manhattan?
It depends on which train you take. There's sometimes express trains some that stop at every stop along the way, but usually it takes about 40 minutes, the train ride.
Okay, 40 minutes. So you are a teenager, right? Are you 18 or 19?
I'm 18.
You're 18, but do you feel like 18 and 19-year-olds, even though you're teenagers, you're not really teenagers? Because I always associate teenagers with being in high school.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing to think about. So I have a late birthday, so I don't turn 19 until April.
Okay.
So even when I'm a sophomore in college for most of that year, I'll still be a teenager,
Yeah.
which is really weird to think about because like you said, most people associate teenagers with being in high school.
Yeah. So when you see stories on the news about teenagers, you just assume it's not a college student, because they'd say college student if it was about a
Yeah.
college student, right?
Mhm.
For those of you that are watching, you can see there are cracks in the wall behind Jenna. You're not in any danger, are you? Or you're not in a prison cell, right?
Um,
Kind of.
you know, it's a college dorm,
Yeah.
so we don't have maybe
Enough
the best
said.
quality here.
Do you have a single or do you have a roommate?
I have a roommate. She's right over there.
Oh, is she listening to you right now?
Yes.
Is she making faces at all, or is she trying to block you out?
She's just smiling.
Hi, roommate.
Hello.
Okay. Where's your roommate from?
My roommate's from Manhattan.
Oh, Manhattan. Oh, so she didn't have to go far.
Nope.
Have you met her family?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you go into
Mhm.
the city to visit with her family sometimes?
I have never been to see her family.
Come on. What kind of a roommate is this?
I've met her mom, so
Okay.
like midday, there's that nice stuff.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I like that she's in the room with you, because there's always horror stories about, some college students freshman year don't get along with their
People
roommate at
say that.
all.
And like it's really funny because we get along great.
Yeah.
I feel like you're more likely when people talk about roommates and stuff, you're more likely to hear bad stories because
Mhm.
those are the ones that get the most attention.
Of course.
But being here, I've only met a few people who have like real, like actual bad problems with their roommates.
Yeah.
It's it's not horrible.
Yeah. Good.
Mhm.
Will you do the dorms next year?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
How big is Purchase? Like, how many students, undergrads, are at Purchase College?
There are about 3,400.
Okay.
So it was about the size of my high school, which is nice.
That's wild.
I visited a lot of schools for like admissions,
Hmm.
and my mom and I visited UConn together,
Okay.
and like an hour on campus, I was like, nope, too big,
Gigantic, right?
many people. I'm sure they have a great program, but I can't do a big school.
Yeah. Good. You knew that right away. So what's the vibe like at Purchase?
It's really nice. I mean, I'm gonna be totally honest. I
Yeah.
don't do much outside of my major. I'm
Okay.
a theater design technology major,
Okay.
which usually means that I have a lot of late nights
Okay.
and long hours working in our studio, which is like our classroom. So, I mean, yesterday I was in bed by like 7 p.m. watching my favorite TV show while everyone was at the student center partying, and like, good for them if you want to go out. I feel like there's a nice mix. There's
Yeah.
good nightlife if you want it, and the school does a good job at running that and making sure people stay safe.
Yeah.
But there's also no judgment if you want to be in bed at 7 p.m. in your pajamas watching a TV show.
Hey, that sounds perfect for me. But
Mhm.
maybe not. Maybe when I was in college. So your major seems perfect for your location, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So are you often going into the city to see shows? And do you watch Broadway shows differently than the average person?
I would say I do. So my mom and I would see a lot of shows when they would come through Indianapolis, which is where
Okay.
I'm from
Yep.
originally. Um, and once I started getting into tech in 11th grade.
Okay.
And so after doing that and being a stage manager, then as I would go to shows, I would start seeing them differently. I remember when Aladdin came through Indianapolis and we went to see it, and I was like, I want to work on Aladdin just so I know how they do the genie transformation and the magic carpet ride,
Wow.
because
Yeah.
they don't reveal that at all, which is super cool. I have seen 2 Broadway shows since I've been here. I saw
Hmm.
6, which blew my mind. It was
I hear really good things about that show.
it
It's
was
about
so
the six
good.
wives of Henry
Of
VIII.
Henry VIII.
Yeah.
And they're all competing in like this kind of like pop concert to
Okay.
see who had it the worst. And they say that at the end, the audience is going to vote for who they think have it the worst. And it's really funny because you go through and you listen to the song that each one sings, and you're like, okay, I'm voting for you. And then the
Okay.
next one does their song. And it's like, wait, no, I'm voting for you.
Yeah.
And then I also went in with a group of friends in the major to see Sweeney Todd
Okay.
for our final project that we had in one of our classes
A
last year.
classic.
We,
Yep.
we were able to go see it. We got tickets for like $60 on a Wednesday. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And that show was also amazing. We didn't have Josh Groban, but we had his understudy who was so good. But before the show, we were pointing out we could see the spot ops like climb down from the ceiling to
Okay.
their position. And then like during intermission, we were like, we can see all the spike tape everywhere. So there definitely is a difference in how I
That's
watch
cool.
shows now and what I'm looking for
Yeah.
now that I've gotten like the backstage experience.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So what is your dream job?
I I would love to do Wicked. That was the first professionally done show I ever saw. And so it always has a special place in my
Sure.
heart. But I also, when my family went on vacation, there was this little like chalkboard in the middle of the town, and it was, you write down one day I'm going to,
Okay.
and I wrote on my little line, stage manage the Tonys. So,
Whoa.
that's
Yes.
my career goal. Like I feel like I have to do it. Um, because award shows are such a different vibe there
Mm-hmm.
because, it's the Tonys, so it's like Broadway productions, but it's also being live and
Yeah.
broadcasted all over the nation. So there's that really fun mix of live musicals and TV.
The stress, though, wouldn't the stress be out of
Oh
control?
my gosh. I
But is that
when
what drives you? Is that what also excites
oh
you?
yeah. I remember last year at the Grammys when Harry
Mm-hmm.
Styles did his performance of As It Was, and then
Okay.
um he did it on this spinning turntable. And later we found out that when his performance started, the turntable started spinning the wrong way. And
Okay.
and his dancers had to quickly find out. They had to do the choreography backwards. And I mean, I didn't
And
notice
they
it.
adjusted, and the audience probably had no idea, right?
I remember my mom mentioning it looked a little like awkward, and
Mm-hmm.
then realizing it later, it's like, oh, that's why. But I saw people making jokes on like TikTok about I would pay so much money to hear the recordings from the stage manager's radios that night
Yeah. Right.
of it starts and the turntable goes the wrong way.
How does that happen?
What do you do?
You were, I don't know, you reverse it over. And then once it starts, you can't go the other way.
Yeah.
That'll even draw more attention to it. I might go back and YouTube that to see, because I didn't see that original broadcast, just to see if I can tell how they react. So what are some of the challenges? So you're out of high school, you're now in college. What are some of the challenges adjusting to college life?
It was really it's really weird not having pets.
Oh, really? I was not
I
expecting that answer.
Yeah, I've never not lived without pets, and it's a really, really weird thing.
Well, what's the dorm rules on having pets?
So you can have
Don't say
they have
fish.
service animals, obviously, but you can also register to have an emotional support animal. And I was kind of thinking about it for my sophomore year, but then if I really want a cat because I love cats.
Okay.
But if I get a cat, then I have to bring that cat home over winter break. And our cat
Right.
Mittens does not like other animals.
Yeah, that sounds like a
So
cat.
that would not be fun. So, I'm most likely just gonna have to wait until I graduate and get my own place.
Well, from what I understand about your roommate, she seems like the type of person that needs an emotional support animal. So maybe maybe she
She's
gets one.
nodding right now.
Maybe she needs one. So talk to me also. One of the things you said on the little questionnaire I sent out is that one of the challenges you have is growing up queer in an
Mhm.
in an extremely homophobic state. So
Yes.
you are talking about the Hoosier state,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So how is it now for you at Purchase? Is it
It's I feel a little bit lighter.
Hmm.
Not living in a state where I have to worry so much about if my rights are going to be taken away as a
Uh-huh.
woman and as a queer person. But I still think a lot of that damage from growing up queer is still there because I was forced to care about politics from a very
Ah,
young age. And also, I have never ever been in a real relationship ever
okay.
because first off, because I grew up and I didn't realize that I was queer when I got to the age where, like in elementary school, where everyone starts developing crushes and it's fun and it's
Hmm.
cute. I didn't have that, and I thought
You
I
had
was
no
supposed
crushes.
I had no crushes, and I thought
Okay.
I was supposed to, and so I would just make up crushes
Okay.
with people I would spend time with. I would pick someone and be like, okay, that guy, I have a crush on that guy.
Hmm.
But I actually didn't, one of them I didn't even like as a person. I just did it because I thought I was supposed to.
Right.
And it's really hard. I see people talk about that they think like every person in high school should, be in a relationship, and it can be a really challenging thing, but it also is a really normal thing. And I never ever had that. And
Yeah.
so it's very weird for me because people talk about their relationships, and I feel like I don't have a lot to offer. I don't know how to flirt with girls. I don't
Uh-huh.
know like how to talk. Like if I think someone's cute, I don't know how to talk to them
Yeah.
because I never got to experience that like young awkward love because I assumed that crushes were supposed to feel fake, I guess.
That's interesting. Well,
So,
yeah, and relationships in high school, it seems like it's a rite of passage, right? Like
yeah.
everyone feels their first love in high school, but that's not always the case at all.
Mhm.
So, are you friends with any other queer students at Purchase? And
Oh
is
yeah.
their story
Mhm.
similar to yours?
Not really,
No.
honestly.
Okay.
You know, and we don't have a lot of students from the Midwest, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
And I feel like in different states where you're growing up queer, it very much affects how open you are to
Okay.
the idea of relationships and how open other people are to the idea of queer relationships. Because, my best friend is queer and we've both had very different dating experiences. Um, and watching people go through that and talk about that and just being here like I can't relate to anything.
Where did your best friend grow up?
Massachusetts,
Massachusetts. Okay. And that the experience there was completely different?
very different.
Bigger city in Massachusetts or
No.
no, even so a smaller town.
A small like I grew up in the capital city of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Um, but there's still a lot of problems. I went to a very diverse high school.
Okay.
So I was on yearbook, and one year for one little module, I sat down and I calculated the ethnicity at our high school, and there were more Black students there than there were white students.
Okay.
I was very, very lucky to grow up in that because I got to grow up around a lot of people who didn't look like me and who didn't have similar backgrounds to
Hmm.
me. And I feel like every person should grow up like that. So growing up, we had a very diverse high school that way, but there were still problems with racism in that high school.
Yeah.
It's Indiana.
Yeah.
It
Well, it's
exists.
America. I mean, it's the world.
Yeah.
We'll always
Mhm.
find a way to dislike
But
each other, unfortunately.
but homophobia was a major, major problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and it wasn't like people were going around calling, not, I didn't experience this personally, but it wasn't like people were going around calling kids slurs.
Hmm.
But there was still a lot of like kind of pushing people away, like labeling them as weird or making comments about them.
Right.
just making them feel like it wasn't a safe space to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I want to continue this conversation, but I want to do it within the frame of social media,
Hmm.
if that's okay. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move to stream sesh right now, but we're gonna continue this chat.
Okay.
Okay. So how hard would it be, do you think, growing up queer in the 50s and 60s and 70s before access to the internet? Harder
Oh,
or easier?
I think it would be, I think it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
But if you're in a place like me, I think it would be so, so much harder
Mm-hmm.
because if you're not growing up where you can see that representation online, on TV and movies, it's not, you kind of feel very alone and very
Yeah.
isolated.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have very loving parents who are very acceptive of me, and they never were the kind who were like, gay marriage is wrong, you know,
Right.
but it was just never discussed in my household that, it was a possibility that men could marry men and women could marry women.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that wasn't coming from a place of hate. I just think as parents, you don't really feel the need to discuss that. So I never saw representation until I got social media and until I started watching more, not necessarily adult, but like films and TV shows for teenagers
Yeah.
and high schoolers. So growing up in a time where you don't get that representation at all, I'm guessing it was very, very isolating, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of kids were very confused.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So you're seeing now online, obviously you can follow whoever you want. You can
Mhm.
you can seek out whatever subjects that you want. So how in high school and college, because obviously homophobia exists in high school and certainly in college, aren't all students sort of seeing the same messaging? Or is it because social media is an algorithm catered to you that the videos that you're seeing about representation aren't necessarily being seen by the person living in the dorm room next to you?
Oh, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of queer influencers online, and my mom and I have watched a lot of TV shows and stuff with queer characters or queer love stories. And
Right.
so when you're watching that stuff, the algorithm is like, okay, you like that, here's more
Mm-hmm.
to look at. Whereas if that's not something, and it's not necessarily people who are homophobic, but if it's not something you're thinking about, if it's not something you're actively seeking out, then
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm is less likely to recommend that to you.
Is there a show right now or a movie that you've recently seen that is an excellent representation of queer lifestyle?
I have suddenly forgot every movie and TV show.
Oh, really?
that-
Well, let's start with Star Wars. Was Star Wars? No. Uh, I don't think it would, I don't think
Star
any,
Wars,
no, I'm
I
just
believe
kidding.
was Star Wars was actually my queer awakening, I
What?
believe. Now,
Because of Leia?
yes, yes, at the end of A New Hope,
Okay.
when they have the medal ceremony, I remember looking at her and like my little 8-year-old brain went, pretty woman.
No kidding.
And I had no idea that girls don't think about other girls that way.
Wow. I just randomly pulled that movie out. That is so spectacular. I bet if Carrie Fisher were still with us, she'd be totally flattered
Oh,
and she would
I
love to
bet
hear
she
that.
would. I love Carrie Fisher. Well, I'm gonna say Daisy Ridley also did
Daisy
that
Ridley. Oh,
for
did
Force
she?
Awakens.
Yeah, right.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, we all know Daisy Ridley. I think she
Yeah.
did that for everyone. Yeah, she was great in the new Star Wars. But when you think about TV show, because I know you watch The Office. I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, other than Oscar, I don't know. But Oscar did a great job that character because everybody else was so idiotic towards him. It showed
Yeah.
how foolish Michael was and made Michael look bad whenever there was some commentary about his sexuality, about Oscar's
Yeah.
sexuality.
It's interesting. I feel like Oscar was kind of one of those queer people who was maybe scared of making waves.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
right. I could see that. Yeah, he kind of wanted to
you
keep
know,
things secret.
he stayed kind of quiet.
I know
Now
Friends is
though,
one of your, I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, now that I'm thinking about it, Carol and Susan from Friends,
Okay.
they, their wedding was one of the first lesbian weddings to be broadcasted on national TV, and a lot of channels refused to show it
Yeah.
because it was a lesbian wedding. But, watching their love story was just also really interesting because I think a lot of people forget that Carol cheated on Ross.
Okay.
And she was having an affair behind his back, but I also do understand why she felt scared,
Yeah.
and I understand why she did it. But watching Carol and Susan raise Ben and be parental figures for him, I think was I think that was a really brave decision that the producers made at the time that Friends was made.
It's funny because the knock on Friends is always that it's just six white people, that live in giant apartments in New York, and it's really out of touch. But then hearing you talk about that storyline, I didn't even make that leap. I didn't even consider that.
The two people on the show that I most relate to are Monica and Chandler.
Okay.
I definitely am more of a Monica than I am a Chandler because I'm very much a control freak. I
Uh-huh.
like to be in charge of things. Everything needs to be working in the right way. And, I'm also the person to take care of people. But Chandler, I definitely relate to him through his use of sarcasm.
Yeah. Well, he
And
was the master.
he was the master. And just watching him as the character who was so scared of commitment, but also so desperately wanted to have somebody to love.
Hmm.
I relate to that desperation of wanting to love someone and not wanting to screw it up in a
Yeah.
way. And Matthew Perry was very much a comfort for me, and that show was a comfort for me. My family started watching it in late 2020, and I was
Okay.
dealing with a lot of depression and
Oh,
anxiety
yes,
at that
sure.
moment. Um, I was having a lot of problems with a friend, and the isolation from COVID just like
That
piled on to
took
that.
everybody over the top. Yeah.
And watching that show brought me a lot of happiness at a time when I was struggling to find it.
Mm,
And Chandler especially, that man just makes me laugh
yeah.
all the and so once I started hearing about his struggles with addiction,
Yeah.
I you know, I it was really weird to see kind of like the man behind the screen. I got his book for
Okay.
Christmas this year and read it. I've never cried over a book. I cried for 30 minutes after
Yeah.
finishing this one. It was so heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And if he were still around today, I would just love to talk to him and, kind of learn more about what he went through it. But I also want him to know that he was the saving grace for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's sad. It's so sad when celebrities or musicians die that you really admire, that you enjoy their work. And isn't there part of you that feels like, could I have helped that person in a weird way, even though they live a completely different lifestyle in a different part of the
Yeah.
world? But don't you feel like I could have helped Matthew? Because you hear about how isolated they are and how depressed they are. And even though they're surrounded by people, they don't feel really connected to anyone. It's just tragic that
Yeah.
everybody can feel that, even famous people.
Hmm.
Um, I know that on YouTube you're into Julie and Camilla. Is that right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I just did a quick peek at them. So this is what I understand. They're married.
Yes.
The two of them live in Norway.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I saw that they either had a baby or they went through in vitro
Yes.
fertilization. Right.
Yes. They went through IVF.
And so their YouTube page is just chronicling their life
Mhm.
together as a couple,
Yeah.
having a baby, living in Norway. So the first thing I thought of, which is probably terrible, but they got a nice little life up there. like their house is beautiful. I was watching some of the footage.
Yes.
Were they
I want to have a house like that.
Yeah, who wouldn't? But
Mhm.
did they have this before they started YouTubing, or is that a result of their YouTube success?
So they talk a lot about their journey on social
Okay.
media,
Yep.
and social media has always been their job. Um, one of them, I believe Camilla is slash was a fitness trainer.
Okay.
So, and I believe that's how they met.
Okay.
Um, and so they definitely have come into a lot more success, but I believe that they always kind of worked with social media and that was their main job even
Okay.
before they
How did you get turned on to them? How'd you find out of their existence?
TikTok.
TikTok. Okay. So that's where, so what? A video just came up on your page and you're like,
Yeah.
they're cute or they seem sweet or they get along. I want to learn a little bit more about them. And
Yeah, it
then
was
diction happened.
that. And then my friend would also send me their videos too.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and they're also, I assume they're on Instagram too.
Yeah.
So, Jenna, you have never met Julie and Camilla, and the chances are slim that you ever will, right?
Yeah.
But you know so much about them. So, what does that do for you? I mean, do you find that you think about them even when you're not watching them? Do the things that they say make a difference in your life?
Occasionally, I remember being really excited when Julie was pregnant and like I'd be like, "Oh, they haven't posted in a while. Is baby boy here?" But it's also really comforting to just see them be authentically themselves and be really, really open
Yeah.
about struggles that they've gone through.
Hmm.
Um,
So that gives you some hope, maybe?
yeah, I find comfort in that. And
Yeah.
I've like commented on their videos a couple times, like, um, I aspire for me and my future wife to be like you guys,
Hmm.
you
Did they
know?
like it?
So
Did they heart it?
I don't think they ever have, but
Dang
they
it.
have a lot of followers. So
I know. I'm sure they do.
they don't see like every single comment, but you know, seeing them authentically live their life as a lesbian couple, you know, even living in the US, it's really nice to point at someone who looks like you and be like, I want to live like them. I want
Yeah,
to be
so
com-"
that was my next question. Do you think that they could find that same comfort and acceptance here in the States? Certainly some cities, probably the city where you are, definitely in
Yeah,
Manhattan, but in the
they have
Midwest and
they have
South?
talked about traveling. Sometimes they'll like open up their Instagram page for people to ask questions, and people will ask like, um, where are places where you have felt the least safe as a queer couple? And there are people who have asked if they would visit the US, and Julie says that they have gone before and they have not felt safe.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Do you feel safe where you are?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like
Good.
there's a very large queer community in
Mhm.
Purchase. And it's not even something where like you have to be a part of an LGBT club to meet those people. It's very, you know, there's a lot of acceptance here and um there's a lot of room for people to be who they are and feel safe.
Yeah. Good. Good. Well, you're making me realize, I guess I've always known this before, but I just never really thought about it, is that there is some positive to social media. I tend to rag on it a
Yeah.
lot, but you're able to seek out people like you and feel a little bit more comfortable
Mhm.
in your own skin, which is
Yeah.
something that, a lot of us didn't have that opportunity growing up. So I'm glad that you have that.
Yeah.
Jenna, I'm going to totally change the mood a little bit, and I'm
All
going
right.
to have a little game for you. In this game, I have no questions about Beyonce, right? So, although I know you wish I would,
I'm not a big Beyonce fan, so I probably wouldn't get any of them right.
that's right. Well, I know when you listened to the Page episode, you were screaming at your radio. No, what do you listen to the podcast on? Your headphones?
Yeah, I
Your
listen
speaker?
headphones, yeah.
Okay, headphones. I was screaming at my headphones. All right, so this game I've played before, but
Mm.
it has a little different theme. This is Two Lies and a Truth,
Oh,
Blue edition.
Podfulness.
So I'm going to tell you three things, something that has to do with blue in it, and you're going to have to tell me which one is the truth. The other two I have made up.
okay.
So get ready. And your roommate, is she still there?
No, she's not. She's gone.
Oh, I was going to say you could use her and you guys could work
Dang
together.
it.
Now it's just
Olivia,
you.
come back.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Two Lies and a Truth, Blue edition. Jenna, this is for you. Question number one has to do with blue jeans.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
So here we go. Which one is the truth? Levi Strauss, the creator of the famous brand Levi's, never wore a pair of his own jeans.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, Wrangler jeans founder Thomas A. Wrangler once dated Levi Strauss's daughter. So he's a little bit younger. Levi Strauss did not think Wrangler was good enough for his daughter. He was kind of an elitist. Levi was. Wrangler vowed to put Levi Strauss out of business by starting his own better jeans company. Now, he failed at putting Strauss out of business, but he still created a multi-million-dollar competitor. So that's how Wrangler started. Or number three, the name jeans come from the Latin genicel frest. I don't have a Latin accent, which means fabric of blue hue. So which one of those is the truth? Strauss never wore a pair of his own jeans. Wrangler wanted to put Strauss out of business, or the name jeans comes from the Latin for fabric of blue hue. By the way, there's no prize up for grab. So if you get it right or wrong, you're still.
I'm
still
Monica, not competitive.
Okay, that's right. Come on, Monica.
I'm gonna say Levi never wore his own jeans.
You need to be more like Joey. That is correct. That's amazing. Very well done. He was a very wealthy businessman, and jeans were made for poorer people. That's how he thought. So he would not even wear his own product. Good job. 1 for 1. Nice work, Monica. Here we go. Number two. This has to do with a blue whale.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Its stomach, a blue whale stomach, has 4 compartments, each large enough to fit a school bus. That's number one. Number two, because the blue whale is so large, its heart beats only 10 times per minute, 15 when mating, because they get excited. Or number three, its tongue weighs as much as an elephant. Which one of those about the blue whale is true? Stomach having 4 compartments, heart beating 10 times per minute, or the tongue weighing as much as an elephant? Monica is thinking. Sorry, Jenna is thinking.
I'm thinking really, really
Staring
hard.
out the window.
Yeah.
Looking for inspiration outside.
In our beautiful parking lot. I'm gonna say the tongue weighing as much as an elephant.
Tongue weighing as much as an elephant is correct. Very well done. Jenna, excellent job. Okay. Am I ever going to stump you? I don't know. Question number 3. This is about Blue, the Indianapolis Colts mascot.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
I don't remember the last time I watched a Colts game.
It does not matter. This is taken from Colts.com, the true fact. Okay. This fuzzy friend enjoys barbecue, but has never ridden an actual horse, even though he is a horse. Number 2, this funny furball prefers lace-up shoes to Velcro and has a soft spot for kittens, just like you. Or number 3, this phonetic funkster can do the worm forwards and backwards, and he invented a breakdance move called the hee-haw. So
I think it's the third one.
The third one, that he invented a move called the hee-haw?
That he can do the worm forwards and backwards and invented.
I'm sorry, but that's incorrect. Nope. That's the sound of the incorrect buzzer. This funny furball prefers lace-up shoes and has a soft spot for kittens. Okay, that's all we need to know about Blue, the Colts mascot. Question number 4 has to do with Papa Smurf.
Oh my God. I've never seen the Smurfs.
That's okay. You still wouldn't know this answer. Papa Smurf Which is the true statement? Papa Smurf has an IQ of 198.
Oh my God.
He is 546 years old. Or his beard grew in when he was 4 years old and turned gray on his 10th birthday.
Oh,
He is the eldest Smurf and the leader of the Smurfs. He's the wise one. Is his
all of
IQ
these-
crazy high? Is he 546 years old? Or did he grow the beard in at the age of 4?
What was the first one again?
That his IQ is 198.
Oh my God. Oh God.
Mm-hmm. This is an important one. This is going to take you to 50% or bring you
The
up to
second
75. I'm sorry, what was that?
Second one?
The second one that you think he's 546 years old, Jenna? Is that
I
just
think
one?
that's possible.
I think it is possible because that's the correct answer. Isn't this spectacular? You're learning so much about blue things. Here we go.
I'm learning so much.
Question number 5 has to do with Cookie Monster.
Okay.
Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster. Cookie writes with his left hand, but he high fives with his right.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than saying thank you, he says, you think.
Okay.
Okay. Or instead of saying cheese for photos, Cookie Monster says cookie.
I think it's the third one.
He goes, cookie when pictures are taken. That is correct.
Yes, I was a Sesame Street kid.
Oh, excellent guessing. I'm so proud of you. We've got 2 more to go, Jenna. 2 more.
Okay.
This has to do with blue M&Ms. Blue's catchphrase is not in a million years. Or don't blame me. I was somewhere else. Or I woke up like this. So what is Blue's catchphrase? According to MMs.com, MMS.com, actually. Not in a million years. Don't blame me. I was somewhere else. I woke up like this. Which is
Not in a million years.
not in a million years is incorrect, Jenna. I'm so
Dang it.
sorry. I woke up like this. That is Blue's catchphrase. And finally, which statement is true? Are you ready? 22% of the world's population has blue eyes.
Okay.
The penguin is the only bird that can see the color blue. Or blue was traditionally associated with pain in China. We think of blue as being such a pleasant thing, but in China, it's associated with pain. So which is correct? 22% of us have blue eyes. The penguin is the only bird that can see blue. And blue is associated with pain in China. You like how suspenseful I was on the repeat?
The
Right
first
there.
one.
That
The 20
22% of the world's population has blue eyes. That is incorrect. 8% of the world's population has blue eyes.
Wait.
The owl is the only bird that can see blue. I don't know
Huh.
how they test for that. Blue is traditionally associated with pain in China.
Didn't know that.
That's why they do not cheer for the Colts in China. Because blue associates them with so much pain. Jenna, how was that game for you?
That was good.
You
You know,
started out strong. You had a good middle there, but you got more correct than incorrect.
really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot at the end of the first segment. I forgot you get the opportunity to ask me anything. Do you still want to
Yes.
cash in on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is how we're going to end the show. I'm ready. Ask me anything.
Okay, so I feel like there is a lot of advice that is given to teenagers by adults,
Uh-huh.
and I want to know what you think the most underrated piece of advice is.
The most underrated?
Yeah.
Boy. Undervalued or underrated? I don't know if maybe it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
I guess like undervalued. Like what do you feel like what piece of advice should be given more often, or what piece of advice needs
You know what? The first thing that came to my mind was this. You always seem to hear adults, even when I was a kid, just be yourself,
Mhm.
right? Because kids, teens, even us as adults, we're always trying to, you just look at social media, we're always trying to be something we're not. We're always trying to put a different face out there. But I remember going to my reunions. I went to my 10th, my 20th, and my 25th. And I was talking with people there that I wasn't really friendly with in high school, but I knew them and they knew me. And we just didn't run in each other's circles. And you make assumptions about people. And they were really nice, right? Like they were really cool people. And if only we could just be ourselves and more accepting of other people, like that, I think is the big one that still stands true. But teenagers won't listen to that one because they still, want to be kind of cool,
It's
right?
almost overrated and underrated.
Yes, I think so. Just be yourself. And I'm trying to think, is there another piece of advice that is you said overrated, right?
Underrated.
Oh, underrated. Can I have a moment to think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Did I
Let me
play the
think.
Jeopardy theme song?
Not a bad idea. Let's roll that. Overrated, underrated piece of advice. Boy, I wasn't expecting that question. Hold
I
on.
asked the hard-
Maybe if I turn this way, it will help. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Here's my answer. Spend time and be friends with the people you like, despite whatever social status you think they have.
That's a good one.
So I remember people in high school, or I sat next to them in class that made me laugh, that were a lot of fun, but I never pursued friendships with them, even though I liked them. Now, why? Right? So I think if there's somebody that you get along with and that makes you laugh, but they're not in your friend group, who cares? It's okay. Be friends with that person. Be friends with the people that fill you up and not give you stress.
I
How was
like
that, Jenna? Was that good?
That was good.
I think that's undervalued.
Mm.
Woo! You caused me to do a lot of thinking at the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck there at Purchase. Do you guys have football teams or basketball teams at Purchase?
I know we don't have a football team. We have basketball.
Are they the Fighting Set Designers? What's the
They're the Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers.
The Panthers.
All right, well, go Panthers. Jenna, keep in touch, I hope. Really great to talk to you, and we will talk with everyone next time on another episode of
Podfulness.